Everyone to IPM's weekly virtual forum series. Today, in the United States, at least still, it is Friday, October 15th. And during our program, some of the folks in South Asia will turn over to October 16th. But we're thrilled to have everyone with us today for this forum. And I want to apologize right out of the gate. Some of you know I had eye surgery recently in Cleveland, and I'm been directed to stay off bright screens. So hopefully this will work. I will stop my video in a moment, and I would remind all of you to mute yourselves throughout today's conversation, to chat your questions into the Zoom function or live on Facebook that we'll be monitoring so that we can share your comments and questions with our panelists today. We're thrilled to have with us this Friday a number of our partners and friends from IPM's longstanding work in South Asia, and particularly out of our South Asia office and our team there in India and in Nepal. I'll let them introduce themselves as we go through the program, but these voices from South Asia are spoken today, particularly in the memory of all those who we've lost over the last year and a half in the midst of this pandemic, and all those who are still suffering from the variants and the other ramifications of COVID-19 and the novel coronavirus. IPM prides itself on trying to nurture hope along with justice and peace worldwide, and maintaining our sense of hope and dignity and purpose in the midst of despair and the suffering that's been so much at the heart of this pandemic has been a struggle in many ways for our staff in South Asia, in particular, as they've cared for their own family members, friends, project partners, and others, at often great sacrifice to their own health and well-being. But we're glad that everyone that works with us now in South Asia and the project coordinators that we partner with as well are doing okay physically and able to share with us via Zoom emotionally and spiritually how they're feeling and what they've been going through throughout this COVID crisis. So at this time, I'll turn it over to my longstanding partner, colleague, and dear friend, Mahesh Upadhyaya, who will moderate today's program for us. And again, I would ask you to mute yourselves on Zoom and to chat into the Zoom and Facebook functions if you have any questions, and we'll convey those to Mahesh and Sony, Pavreen, Bindia, and our other colleagues and friends who are part of today's conversation. Thank you all for being here, and I'll turn it over to you now, Mahesh.
Thank you, Joe, and a warm welcome to everybody from all over the world. Today in India is the 10th day of our celebration we started 9 days ago. We had 9 nights of worshipping the feminine divine, and usually through the form of dance in Gujarat, and it's called Navaratri. The 10th day is celebrated both in Nepal and in India as Dashain and as Dasera. And it is a festival that basically represents the victory of many of the falling with the help of the blessings from a goddess known as Durga, and she's the feminine divine. And I think the message is fairly universal, and it applies to different cultures, different faith backgrounds. There's a commonality here. We celebrate truth over falsehood. Light over darkness is the other theme. Good over evil, which is usually the whole focus of this day today. And across eons, across different ages and different cultures, we have had many stories which celebrate the victory of good over evil. It also represents in Corona times the victory of health over sickness. That is something that we all pray for and look forward to the blessings of the divine. Abundance over poverty is another long-lasting issue which we have been grappling with over the years. But today is again a day where everybody prays for abundance. Peace over war is something, again, that is universal and which is something which we pray for over the years. And love over hate, of course, is the strongest message of IPM, of our personal lives, of Dasera, of all faith backgrounds, people from all faith backgrounds and all religions. So I would like to start with this. I thought we'd give a brief introduction to the background. We also thought that it's, even though we'll look briefly at the confirmed cases and the deaths that have taken place in our part of the world, we also thought it's also time to look at all the positives that are emerging, all the positive efforts that are going on, and we thought we'd start by sharing some of that after sharing some statistics with you. So Nepal has 8,04,276 confirmed cases as of today, and they've had 11,269 deaths in so far. India has had, as you can see, 3,34,020,730 confirmed cases, and we have had 4,51,435 deaths. That's a huge number, but as you will see in the next graph, that we had two peaks. One was in October of 2020, and the second peak was roughly in April, May, and started descending in June of 2021. So this is a graph that shows the number of daily new cases in Nepal, which peaked in May, June, and July of this year. If you're looking at this year. Similarly, in India, also it peaked in April, May, and June. And from July onwards, it has been tapering down. And and I think currently we have less than 100K cases in most of the regions. But there's a big fear of the third wave coming. But due to the efforts of all our partners and our friends and the communities that we work with, we are better prepared both for long-term health issues and for the next COVID wave, if it happens. I would request Vindhya now to coordinate the rest of the sessions and to invite us all turn by turn to make our presentations. Thank you, Vindhya.
Thank you so much, Mahesh. I would like to invite Soni ji now for sharing the updates from Nepal.
Thank you, Vindhya. I want to introduce myself from starting language. I belong to Newari, so Newari language. I am starting. First, I will say by Newari. This is Jo Jalpa, Juguna, Soni Kha, Jita IPM Parivar, Napa Jaya Yaeta, Khana, Dunugra Nishe, Kushi Juya, Chondu. Which means this is I think this is both are in just I will say just Newari only. Magar and language both is together. So I just said I am Soni Shrestha, and I want to. It's my pleasure to working with IPM family. So and other one is Magar language, and Fulmati said that little bit got one.
Okay, Jorlet Patakoke.
Jorlet Patakoke Nya Semanle Nyakun Jile. It's mean from Magar language. It's Namaste to all. I am fine here. What about you? Okay. And little bit down.
Okay, I think I'll show the next slide now.
Okay, this is from the Bandipur project. And besides, we all know that in a pandemic, we are facing the difficulties in all over the world, but somehow positive cases also, we feel positive, like if some program is empowerment meeting with the women, and a little bit down. Next one.
Are you able to see?
How to get this program is how because of the COVID, some business are going down and some lost, and the this program is to get together participate because to get discount in local tax, because loss of business due to the COVID, they cannot pay tax, and they are asking to government to support them to stable their business. And next one. And some women group are doing women leadership in the women leadership in the region, where women are doing their how to get their community leader. They can income generation program, because women, they are supporting the family plus some income generation. So this is participated in Bandipur for leadership, how to get the more empowered, more active in the community. Next one.
Okay. Thank you, Soniji.
Yeah, thank you, Bindya.
Okay, Bindya, can I take the next 3 slides, please? Yeah. So this is a report. Shahadat is unfortunately not able to join us on this call today. He's had some technical issues, and I don't think he has the right equipment to participate in a Zoom call, and he's finding it difficult to connect with us. He's been doing a lot, but I think there are 3 of the major things that he would like to share, and I would like to share about him. First of all, that he works with the poorest of the poor in areas of education and nutrition. Those are the twin pegs of his program. But of late, he has started a group known as the Friends of the Constitution. And in that process, he teaches young children about constitutional provisions. He talks to them about fundamental rights and duties. He talks to them about the importance of the Constitution and what are the various aspects of the Constitution, various articles that are there, the right to life, right to liberty, right to equality, and also the fundamental and also the duties that the Indian government is supposed to execute in favor of children, especially with a focus on children. So here you see in one of his classrooms in the evenings in the slums, where he encourages young children to understand the Constitution. He usually reads it out. You can see the gentleman sitting to his right, holding a small placard in his hand. He reads out his articles. He asks the children to explain what it means, and then he shares his knowledge with them. So I think this is again a very important aspect of his non-formal schooling and informal schooling that he does. He has currently around 100 children. I think he has an outreach with 100 children on this program. This is again something that he has started recently. This is a new center which he attends weekly now. He's just started this, I think, last month. Again, you see a lot of children there. This is a place where the rag pickers and the waste pickers of Jaipur, they collect the city waste, segregate it, and you see many young children there who are spending time with Shahadat. So he started a teaching program with them. He's also started a nutrition program with them. Because of the lockdown and post-lockdown, many of the migrant workers have lost their jobs and income. More and more people are going towards waste collection as a source of income. His food relief program continues to strengthen the young children's nutritional requirements. Post-COVID, many families, they survive only on one meal. So this has been a big help. Generally, the economy has been such that though the stock market is booming right now, I think we've had the largest, I think Sensex is at one of its largest ever levels. But unfortunately, on a day-to-day basis, employment is at a low, unemployment is high. People are not getting enough food and rations. Many families are literally surviving on one meal a day. Tourism has not really opened up yet, though there are sporadic visits taking place in certain parts of the country. Most of the children who you see have not got, their parents have not yet got vaccinated. So in this circumstance, I think giving an egg once a week, or giving a fruit once a week, and giving fresh vegetable sandwiches once a week. So it's a three-day program throughout the week. It helps a lot in building up basic nutritional requirements, taking care of it. Eggs obviously provide you with protein and carbohydrates, and it helps them a lot, and it has made a big difference to their health status. So that's as far as Shahadat goes. He wanted to share these three things. Before I hand it over to Parveen, I just also wanted to point out that Shahadat has been facing a lot of political victimization in the areas that he's working with, since primarily many of his families and that he's contributing to, many of the families he is working with belong to the unorganized sector. Many of them are Muslim families. So he's having a slightly difficult time dealing with the political aspects of hate, and he's doing a good job of it. He has won over a lot of allies, but that's a separate story and requires a separate conversation. So that's the last message that he wanted me to share with you all. So on behalf of Shahadat, thank you. Bindyaben, are you there?
I am. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now I would like to invite Parveen Ben to share her પરવીનબેન
હા
હા ઓકે હવે સ્લાઇડ થોડા સમજાવતા જજો અને સહેજ ધીમેથી કહેજો તો મને ટ્રાન્સલેશન કરતા ફાવે. ઓકે
અચ્છા
હા ચાલુ કરો.
એટલે આ જે ફોટો છે એનું સ્ટાર્ટ ચાલુ કરું ને?
હા એ જ.
હા,
ओके દાણી લીમડા એરિયા કે અંદર દાણી લીમડા એરિયાની અંદર આપણે હિન્દુ અને મુસ્લિમ બંને કોમ્યુનિટી જોડે છે. એટલે મુસ્લિમ વોલન્ટિયર છોકરીઓ આપણે હિન્દુ જે બહેનો છે એ લોકોને ત્યાં હેલ્થ ચેકઅપ નું કામ કરે છે અત્યારે. અને જે મુસ્લિમ એરિયામાં છે એક નજીકમાં એક આપણે એક ગૌરી કરીને એક બેન છે એ ત્યાંનું કરે છે આબાદનગરનું, એટલે ત્યાં મુસ્લિમ એરિયા છે. એટલે ત્યાં હેલ્થ ચેકઅપ અત્યારે રેગ્યુલરી જ્યારથી આપણે કિટ નું વિતરણ કર્યું હતું ત્યારથી ત્યાં એવરી વીક હેલ્થ ચેકઅપ થાય છે એરિયામાં. બોમ્બે હોટલ, દાણીકુંડલા, બટવા અને મિલ્લતનગર.
Okay. Parvinben and her group from Hum Sangathan, they are doing health checkups in Dani Limla, Millat Nagar. Mashbhai, I forgot the name of the fourth one.
yeah, Millat Nagar,
Yeah.
Dani Limra,
Okay.
Bombay Hotel.
So they are doing the
આબાદનગર.
sorry.
આબાદનગર.
Okay. So Abadnagar. Okay. And here where they are doing their health checkups, there is a Muslim volunteer who goes to the Hindu families and doing their health checkups. They are doing it. Agad Parvinben. પરવીનબેન આમાં કઈ કહેવાનું છે કે નેક્સ્ટ સ્લાઇડ કરે ડિસ્પ્લે?
સોરી,
આ સ્લાઇડમાં કઈ ઉમેરવાનું છે કે આગળની સ્લાઇડ કહીએ?
આગળની સાઈડમાં છે.
ઓકે.
આ શાદત નો આવી ગયો.
હા. હા પરવીનબેન કન્ટિન્યુ કરજો.
હા, હેલ્થ ચેકઅપ એરિયા દાણી લીમડા, આબાદનગર અને દાણી લીમડા જે એરિયા છે જ્યાં દલિત કોમ્યુનિટી બાજુની ગલીમાં રહે છે. એટલે ત્યાં બંને આજુબાજુના એરિયામાં 1 વીક આ સેશન ચાલે છે. એટલે લોકોનું બીપી તપાસવાનું, પછી કારણ બીપી ને તો રોજનું હોય, 2 ટાઈમનું હોય, એટલે કે બીપી તપાસવું જ પડે છે એ લોકોનું, જેમનું વધારે આવે છે ને એ લોકોનું. અને મોસ્ટ ઓફલી વધારે બીપી અત્યારે આવે છે એટલે ત્યાં રેગ્યુલર રાખ્યું છે આપણે. બીજા એરિયામાં અત્યારે બોમ્બે હોટલમાં રેગ્યુલર રાખ્યું છે ને, અહીંયા વટવામાં રેગ્યુલર નથી રાખ્યું, ત્યાં 15 દિવસમાં એકવાર કરીએ છીએ આપણે.
Okay. So in Abadnagar, Dani Limda and Vatwa, 3 of these areas, they are doing regular, daily checkups because they need to get the blood pressure checked every twice a day who are facing the severe issues. And in one other area, Bombay Hotel area, they are doing it weekly. Okay. Next slide. હા પરવીનબેન બોલો.
જે આપણે કીટ વિતરણ કરી એ આપણે બોમ્બે હોટલ એરિયા, આબાદનગર એરિયામાં દાણી લીમડા એરિયામાં એક આબાદનગર એરિયા છે અને એક સાઇડિંગ સર્વિસ છે. એટલે દલિત મુસ્લિમ અલગ અલગ આમને સામને છે ને, આમે અને સામે બંને બાજુ રહે છે. એટલે એમાં બે એરિયા આવે છે, એક સાઇડિંગ સર્વિસ આવે છે ને એક આબાદનગર આવે છે. 2 અલગ અલગ એરિયા આવે છે દાણી લીમડાની અંદર, અને એક બોમ્બે હોટલમાં અને એક મિલ્લતનગરમાં. આમ 4 એરિયામાં આપણે જે અનાજની કીટ વિતરણ કર્યું હતું એનું પ્રોગ્રામ આ 4 એરિયામાં આપણે કર્યું હતું. એ આપણી જે વિડો બહેનો છે અને સિંગલ બહેનો છે એમને જ આપણે આ આપ્યું હતું.
So in Dani Limda area, Dalit and Muslim community are staying nearby. So they have done the ration kit distribution in both the areas. And for distributing the kits, they have mostly chosen the women which are single and widow. Okay, next slide, please.
ચંડુલા લેક ની અંદર જે આપણે છોકરાઓનું સેન્ટર ચાલે છે, જે છોકરાઓ ચંડુલા લેકમાં રહે છે અને સ્કૂલે નથી જઈ શકતા, સ્કૂલો બંધ હતી અત્યારે, જે મ્યુનિસિપાલિટીની સ્કૂલો છે એ બંધ હતી. એ નાના નાના છોકરાઓ જે આપણે છોકરાઓને ટ્યુશન ક્લાસીસ અને બેઝિક એજ્યુકેશન આપીએ છીએ, એ છોકરા 85 છોકરાઓને 1 વીક આઈ થિંક બહુ બધી શરદી અને ખાંસી વચ્ચે 2 મહિના પહેલા ચાલુ થઈ ગઈ હતી અને શરદીનો એ બહુ પારો વધી ગયો હતો છોકરાઓની અંદર. ઇન્ફેક્શન, શરદી અને ઇન્ફેક્શન બંને વધી ગયા હતા. એ ટાઈમે બોઇલ એગ આ છોકરાને 1 વીક સુધી આપ્યું હતું આપણે.
Okay. So due to COVID-19, all the government schools were shut. So Parvinder and their group have started an education center in Chandula Lake area. Around 85 students are coming there, and at a certain period, the kids were suffering from viral infection. So they decided to give an egg a day. Okay, next slide, please.
Yeah, before you proceed, can I just add a little bit more, Bindya, to what Parveen has already said? Yeah. So I think, Parveen has briefly shared these photographs and a narration, which she also sent us a report a little bit earlier of all that she has been doing, she and her group. So I would just like to briefly add that to the existing presentation that she has made. First of all, I think they had a long-standing 8-year-old case of domestic violence, which was pending, and the police were not able to find the husband. Finally, after following due process, talking with lawyers, talking to the policemen, I think they managed to trace him, and he was arrested and he was sent, he was jailed for defaulting on his commitments. They worked out a compromise and they were able to raise 1,70,000 Indian rupees for that lady and her child. And a few days later, they also worked out a settlement for divorce. So that was one of their other recent successes. See, even as a community-based organization, even while you're focusing on some of the major crisis that is happening, COVID, unemployment, you have a lot of personal cases also coming in from the members. So one of the things that Ham Sangathan does on a regular basis is to attend to these individual cases too, to the extent possible. Since we have been talking about psychology and the psychological aspects, I just want to point out that both Parveen, Meruben and 2 other members of their team were trained by the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences way back in 2002. And they were known as the barefoot psychologists, and they worked with riot victims and earthquake victims for a period of almost 5 to 6 years. This is from 2002 to 2008. So they've had all this basic understanding and basic skills. So many people in the area know them. And there are a lot of individual cases also which come to them. And as all of you know, these are not easy to handle. It requires counseling, it requires support, it requires a lot of courage on the part of both the victim and I know the word survivor is more commonly used in the West, but legally in India, they tend to use the word victim because that's how the law describes them as, and that's how they deal with. So that was one of the cases, successful cases that they dealt with recently. As she pointed out, they distributed boiled eggs to more than 60 children in Chandula Lake for a week. Chandula Lake is again used to be a common lake when the city had not expanded. Now it is in the middle of the city and it's a lot of waste water also there. The other major achievement recently post the COVID this thing was the reactivation of the credit society. 12 women from an old credit society who have been saving 100 rupees a month for the last 3 months. They've been able to reactivate that, and I think they're in the process of reopening their bank account based on new laws. Also, they have been conducting a vaccination awareness program and helping people in all the 4 areas to get vaccine. And very often they collaborate with government agencies and government health departments to organize it in their local area. They also try to find a place for a sewing class, and they've been able to do that too. And they have started some sewing classes too. After the first wave of COVID, they were also able to help 28 students to get admission in computer classes. So that again is a major achievement. Computer classes were offered for many of these children. And Parveen has been coordinating with the classes and sending many of these young girls for job interviews. So I think this briefly sums up some of the work that she has been doing. A short presentation like this doesn't give us enough time to cover all aspects, but I hope I have done some justice to Parveen's work. Thank you, Parveen and Vindhya. Vindhya, may I request you to continue?
Thank you so much, Mahesh. Now, I would like to talk something about Coachable Foundation's work and my work as an India fellow. Okay, so in the picture you can see so many kids and people around. So this is the picture of an Independence Day celebration on 15th August of this year. In the picture, the girl is making the people recite the Amuk of Constitution of India. And here we celebrated Independence Day. Mostly whenever anywhere in India we celebrate Independence Day, most of the people talk about Gandhiji. But here we made an effort to make them realize that whenever we are talking about independence, or especially for Dalit, Baba Sahib Ambedkar is the main person who have led us to independence and aware about our rights. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a photo of food relief we did during the COVID relief program. You can see 6 women in the photograph. It's from Padra village, and we had distributed a ration kit to each of them. And whenever we distribute the kits, mostly on our prior list, we decide to give it to them who are especially in need in this kind of situation. 3 of them are widow, and on extreme left, just beside Bhanubai, the 2 ladies were being separated by their husband because first lady, her husband got mental issue something, and he died due to COVID. So she's staying at her father's house, and she has 2 daughters. So the in-laws have refused to accept her back in the family. So she is staying at her parents' house. Similar thing has happened with the second lady, and 2 of them are mostly around 20 in their 20s. So it's very difficult for them to survive on their own because they've never done any job or anything. So it's difficult for them. We tried to make our effort to help them. Next slide, please. Okay, again, there is a photo of ration kit distribution. This one is from Manej village of Petla Taluka. Dakshaban is there in the photograph, and the person you can see in the photograph is handicapped. He has a problem with his leg, and if we just cross the highway, we can see him begging on the road. So we tried to give him ration for 15 days, and he was very thankful for that. I think whenever we go and meet these kind of people, we just realize that whatever work we are doing, maybe in a smaller way, but we are making an impact to help somebody. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, due to COVID, most of the schools, even government and private schools, were shut totally. So just to motivate the kids back to the school or back to the learning, before we started, we are going to start our classes soon. Before that, we give them the school bags. So whenever they start learning, they can go ahead with new motivation. We distributed the school bags in all 20 villages. And COVID has mostly affected the kids. Whenever we talk about maybe colleges have opened, job, offices, business, all are open, but still from standard 1st to 6th, all the students are staying at home. And right now, gradually, when we are starting the classes, we can see that they have lost a lot. I mean, even we had made so much effort to make them learn everything, and now after 1.5 hours of COVID lockdown, they have almost forgotten everything. Whenever we will start teaching them again, we have to start from zero again. So yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah, before you do that, I just want to point out that the Rock City is in honor of Cleveland, in Cleveland. And that's why they selected Rock City. You know, I selected that. What you read on the bags.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here we have a good announcement, and also I'm also very happy about this. Recently, International Fellow Himadbai started an initiative in the tribal belts of South Gujarat. Uh, we have just started 10 new educational learning center, or Bal Sanskar Kendra, as we call that. And if I need to translate it, it would be kids value education centers. With local support. And here you can see kids at the exit number, it's 485 students who are going to be benefited by these classes. And all these are from tribal area. So far, we were doing it in Khambat and Tarapur Taluka of Anand district. And for on 2nd September, we just started the same in tribal areas. Luckily, we have got well qualified teachers from the area where we didn't expect from. We are getting mostly MA BEd teachers who are easily able to teach the children very well. And most of the children were very happy because they couldn't afford tuition classes. When we started this, we got all the children gathered for the innovation program. And in the photos, you can see the smiling faces of kids. Next slide, please. Okay. So on the integration program, there was a cultural program very well done by children and teachers there. So in this photo, they were doing the welcome song in their cultural way, the very traditional one. Even here, I would like to add that whenever, even in India right now, when we try to welcome somebody, we try to go to the modern culture. But here I saw a very unique thing. They got that drum and welcomed the guest with that. They did that traditional dance. I don't know what it's exactly called, but they did the cultural dance and welcomed them by that. Next slide, please. Okay.
Now, I'm going to try and share the sound. Please help me out if it doesn't. Can you hear the sound?
Not yet.
No, Mahesh, we can't hear the sound.
It's not audible.
Okay, let me try.
Now, yes.
Jai Jai Adivasi Jago Jago, Jai Jai Adivasi Jago Jago, Jago Adivasi Jago, Jago Adivasi Jago, Jai Jai Adivasi Jago Jago. Apa walau kan?
So, Bindya, can you tell us a little bit more about this song and what happened since you were present in that event? And
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of us were also present there, but for us, it was the first visit to their group, tribal group. And Himaba has been working in that area for years now. So they are very familiar to them. And even any of us are going to a group, to make them more comfortable with us, we need to be like them. So he tried to sing a folk song of their area, which said Jago Adivasi Jago. And it means awaken Adivasi. When we say Adivasi in Gujarati, in English, it would mean tribal community. So he said awaken Adivasi, awaken. And this made them more excited for the function, because somewhere the excitement was little bit missing, or they were too sincere to be in the fun program. So then he sang this song, and the whole group followed it. As we did not know, we couldn't recite beside, but they did. Next slide, please.
I just wanted to add that this part of Gujarat, South Gujarat, is where exactly you have many of the large developmental projects, river valley projects. So way back in 1987, 88, 89, we had something known as the River Valley Project, Narmada Dam, which was funded by the World Bank. And many of these affected areas were going to come under the catchment areas are also included. So what the government was offering was land to them, but in a different place and in a different location, away from their traditional homes and residences. There was a very long struggle that went on over there, known as the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Again, any struggle in the tribal belt is taken up by all tribals. So something happens in one district is taken up by members of all the other districts too. So there's a lot of solidarity amongst tribals. There's a whole subaltern culture there, and that is again a very interesting area of work. So since 1981, many developmental organizations have been working there. The focus was more political, on rights, on development. And over a period of time, many of the tribals also migrate to larger cities, and they also travel to other parts of India for employment and for income generation. So education has taken a back seat here. There's a very low presence of qualified teachers, qualified schools. And we also need to look at new employment opportunities for some of these children who will grow up, in the coming days. So Himmat has, over the last 7-8 years, been visiting these tribal areas. He has been working on environmental issues there. One of our board members, Jivanti, many of us know Rajubai, who's also been very active in these areas. So Rajubai also has been working in these areas. And Himmat has always had a passion. Himmat also done a lot of work on traditional herbs in these areas with, I think, some of the church members who have invited him. Himmat has this ability to interact with communities, and there is a lot of trust and faith that is reposed in him. And they would trust him more than any other outsider there. And so he has this relationship with the communities there, and he's been working very hard. He's been trying to market some of the traditional herbs into the larger cities. He has been working on alternate technologies there. He's been working on water conservation in these areas. There's a whole range of projects. So when we found this opportunity, and we found some local people to support this activity there, he said he and his team, because he can't do this alone, and he takes on a leadership role there, but Dakshaben, Vindhya, Tara, many of his team members who have had a rich experience of running some of these small educational centers the last 3 years have gone there. Even I'll be visiting those areas recently. We'll try to provide them with some technical skills, technical knowledge, provide them with some leadership skills if possible, some advocacy skills if possible. Again, the whole idea, I think the philosophy of most of our work is not to adopt a whole village or the local community or the organizations, but support them in their struggle activities and support them in their developmental activities. So this is one more opportunity of organizing the community around issues of education. And the poor, as always, there is the strength of numbers makes a big difference. When a gathering like this happens in that area, the news spreads, people hear about it, you start drawing attention of politicians, of the bureaucrats, and they see something happening there. So in a way, it's very good, So our connections are unique. The fellowship program is very unique. It's not a project. It supports individuals to go and be present everywhere else. It's an organic thing, and there is a give and take in this. As Himmat evolves and works in these areas, he also invites many of us to come and contribute in that area in whatever way we can, whether it's technical knowledge, whether it's understanding of organization and systems and leaders. So it's a collective effort in that sense. But really, most of the credit goes to Himmat and his team for the work that they do. And we are doing our bit to support when and where and if we can, and in whatever way possible. So I just wanted to add that, Vindhya, to your presentation.
Thank you. Before I move to the next slide, I would like to add one thing to this program itself. Taluka Development Officer of Narmada District, Dedepada specifically, he was present for the inauguration program, and I still can remember he said that I wish I could be a part of this education program when I was young. And he greeted all the students, all the very best for their future. And he wished that many of them can become a government officer like he is. Yeah, moving to the next slide. Here there is a photo of farmer producer organization. Many of our IPM friends know that we have been talking about farmer producer organization for so long. So far we have made 1,500 members, but finally we have succeeded to register it according to the Indian law, and we have registered two mandalis, scheduled mandali as we call that. And the main thing is all the members of this organization are going to be only women, no men in the whole group. So sorry, don't take it the other way. But many times whenever we talk about farmers, they generally say that only men do the farming, but the actual thing is totally different. Women are equally involved in farming. So we have made an effort to make the women part of their land and farming. And the main goal of making this mandalis is to encourage women to do organic farming and make their lives better. Same time, we want them to create some more employment options available for their families also. And this is the photograph of the visit of that officer, government officer, who did the place visit before we get the registration certificate of the mandalis. Next slide, please.
Okay, Vindhya, I think this is the last slide. But before that, can I request you to share with us the process of forming for the registration of the cooperative, and what are the different kinds of efforts you have to make before a person can become a member? I remember many of you spending up to 6 to 7 months visiting government offices with identification cards and all that. So you give them a glimpse of what happens in that process. What do you do? What time do you get out of your home? How many villages do you cover? How much time does it take to cover each village? That might be a bit helpful.
Okay. So before the registration process, we wanted to make a bigger group so that we can go and tell them that we have a group and we want to get it registered in the government office. So the whole team, when I talk about the team, it includes Bhanubai, Navneetbai, Tara, Dakshaben, myself, Himmatbai also, and recently Rameshbai also. Whenever we get stuck in any of the villages, they are there to help us. We go to the villages, convince the women to be the part of the group, and we had not registered it so far. Registration is done just a month back. So before that, we had to just collect the documents. When we talk about documents, they are ID proofs, Aadhaar card, ration card, election card, and caste certificate. Because we wanted to make a Dalit-based women organization so that we can help them to get government schemes help. And it took us a long time. So if I go and ask a woman that I need your ID proofs, she'll have only Aadhaar card. And for getting registered in the group, we need the caste certificate. So if she has to get the caste certificate, she need to go to the Gram Panchayat, the local authority, government authority. Then she has to go to her father's house. She has to get his caste certificate. And then again, there are some stamp work, that notary kind of things. And then we get the certificate. It takes around, if I want to get the certificate of single woman, I'll have to go with her for at least twice. And then we'll get it. And so far we have 1,500 members. So you can imagine how difficult it was. But at the end, everything is going good. So we are happy with that. And during the registration process, Dakshaben and Bhanubai were basically more involved in the registration process. But I do remember that in past 6 months, they have visited the government office at least 10 times. And they had to do everything. I mean, when they are going with the files one, then they'll say, this document is missing. And then they come back and get it ready. Again, they are going and they are saying that, yes, you have done the registration. You have filled up the form well, but then again, we need some other copies of the same file. So again, we have to come back. This went on like 6 months, good 6 months. And then finally, one good day, Himmatbai also went to the office and helped them out. So finally we got the registration, and they We applied for it. They did the online entries of all the women. And then this officer, whom you can see, obviously he is from also a very good supportive background. So he said, okay, if you are going to do it for Dalit women, I would like to help you. So he finally supported us and he came for the place visit, because before they register any of the FPO, they need to go and check the place whether the group already exists or it is just on paper. So they came here, visited our place, met all the members and talked to them that are you actually an FPO or it's just on paper. So finally we passed all the tests and right now we have got the certification of farmer producer organization.
So now what's the next step, very briefly, once this organization gets registered?
Okay, so 2 of the organization have been registered and many of you know Himmat Bhai also and Francis Bhai also. So both of them are planning to involve both the groups in organic farming, and in future we want to do some value addition in 2 main products of Bhal region. When we talk about Bhal, it is Khambat and Tarapur talukas of Anand district. The main production would be Krishna Kamod rice and Bhalia Gaon or wheat, as we call in English. So we want to make rice, papdi, and some other good products from the wheat flour. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Bindya. For those who have not been there, the rice there, when you cook it, you don't need to add anything to it. It has an aroma of its own. It has a sweet taste of its own. And it's a wonderful rice, well recognized all over our state and all over the country, in fact. Even the wheat there, it is known as Bhalia Gaon, as India explained. The wheat there also has a special flavor when you grind it and make dough out of it, and when you make the Indian chapati out of it. The taste, the texture is also very unique to that particular region, because it depends on the soil of the region, again, which is very rich, and it has manganese and some other ingredients there. So thank you all, Soni, Shahadat, Parveen, Vindya, Himmat Bhai, all those who are present, all those who are not present, and all the teams who work constantly with you day in and day out, even in these difficult times. Forming this cooperative in the midst of the COVID was one of the hardest things to do, because you have to travel. So we thought this time in general we would focus on the positive things that are happening in spite of all the difficulties that people are facing, and that there is hope and there is something to look forward to in the coming days and the coming years. So thank you all. I'll stop the sharing, screen sharing now, and if there are any questions, we would be glad to respond to them.
Thank you so much, Mahesh and everyone. I'm going to let Ilsa read through the chat questions. I'm sorry, since I can't read them. Ilsa, I think you're muted.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Thank you, Mahesh, and thank you to all of you who presented today for your wonderful work. I know that for anyone that knows Mahesh, sorry, I'm having a technical problem here.
I'll just say, while Ilsa's dealing with that was absolutely a beautiful and inspiring presentation. So thank you all for your continued work and commitment at great sacrifice to yourselves, I know.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I was going to just say that for anyone that knows Mahesh, you know that there's not enough adjectives to describe his extraordinary commitment, compassion, faith, generosity, and leadership for his work in human rights and social justice. And we can also extend that same description to all of you who we heard from today, and actually to all of our regional partners and fellows. It's just amazing the work that's done. I know that I was particularly struck at all of those photos. They're so incredibly powerful to tell the story of the impact. And I know Bindya had mentioned that sometimes it feels like, you know, maybe they're making a small impact, but from my perspective, it's a huge impact, and your efforts have been recognized, you know, by countless people in the community. I know that Parveen, you've been recognized for your work. Hemant, you have been recognized. Just the registration, Bindia, with the farmers organization, it's making a huge impact and awareness and really offering hope and light to so many people. So thank you for all that you continue to do. As far as the chat comments, there's been a number of wonderful expressions of gratitude. Carol had said these are amazing pictures and comments. Each of you is a blessing to IPM, your communities, and the people who are served. Carol also mentioned, Mahesh used the word passion, and that is all around in each person at IPM, and that she's learning so much and hopes that we can grow our participation in these forums. Also, Carol mentioned that Joanne in the Dominican Republic has had a program of each one teach 10, and it sounds very similar to what was shared today. Camp Hafner is also expressing his gratitude to everyone today, and Sony as well, for everyone being among us. Mahesh added that getting 1,500 women being among us, and me. Oh, I thought I heard an echo. Mahesh mentioned getting 1,500 women and 4,500 documents has its own impact, which is totally true and incredibly impressive. Adela is commenting, thank you, South Asia team, for the beautiful presentation and your service always. So I don't know if anyone else has any other questions or comments they'd like to share. I'll just take a quick glance at Facebook to see if there's anything there.
Can I just add something in the meantime? I think
Sure.
there are two new initiatives that we have started, which is very good, that the Parveen and the Hum group, based on Bindia's experience of working with on good touch and bad touch with a lot of young adolescent girls. And we have this prevention of sexual harassment of young girls. So under that program, the Hum group got together 2 weeks ago at St. Xavier's College. And we had a day-long program in which Bindia spoke about her experiences. She shared a video with them and went through a short session with them. And likewise, Parveen and our group also, the senior team also were present. So they also got an idea. So we are having some lateral exchanges too of learning from each other and trying to strengthen our efforts. On the other hand, Hemant has invited Parveen and Parveen's team and the Hum team and some of the adolescent girls to come and visit the villages, to visit Golana, and to see the work that is going on there, to interact with them. So we are hoping to have the urban Muslim and Hindu girls who grow up in the slums interact with the rural women working with in Golana and the surrounding villages. And it's a start, it's a beginning, and again to both to share not only sorrows but also to share their joys, to come together, to celebrate life as much as we mourn some of the things that have gone by, and to learn from each other and solidarity. So that's the other new thing that we are looking forward to in the coming months. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Mahesh. There's another comment also in the chat from Vicky saying, thank you so much for this forum, Mahesh, Hemant, Sony, and Parveen. I always learn so much from each of your presentations. You are such an inspiration for all of us. Thanks so much. I didn't see any questions on Facebook, just a number of likes and hearts as we all share our likes and hearts for your presentation today. Certainly we see that the impact crosses all spectrums of health awareness, education, nutrition, truly life-sustaining support. I mean, I know in one of those or several of those pictures where you see individuals that are receiving food bags. I mean, it just really, to me, it shows what a truly life-sustaining difference you are making, you know, for people that have been impacted with unemployment and don't have, you know, resources to provide for their families, whether it's an egg that's being distributed or a fruit. It's just making such a beautiful and compassionate difference in so many lives. So thank you all for all that you're doing to inspire us each and every day through your love. Anyone else?
I would like to take the time to thank everyone. I apologize because I couldn't log in earlier in the meeting, but I had the opportunity to listen partially, and I think it's very inspirational. And this later part, I believe it also match a lot with a lot of the project partners around the world. And following what Mahesh just said about creating these spaces of sharing and participation, like linking, let's say, some of the efforts in one country with others, I was wondering how likely could be also to create a space of sharing between, let's say, some of the work that it's been done there with the work done in Latin America. I know the language is a challenge because particularly many of our project partners in Latin America do not speak English, and that's quite difficult. But I believe as IPM we can figure out the way to create this connection, and I don't know, strengthen more, like, because as Marty said, we have like in the DR and also in Nicaragua, I believe we can also match a little bit or create this sharing opportunity with the women's there, particularly in the projects, for example, with the last project explained it with the rice and the cook. I don't know if it's possible even with the peanut in the DR or in Nicaragua with the women's working in their farms. So yeah, I was wondering if it's possible, and how Mahesh and Bindia and Sonny believes it, we can create also this space of sharing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Fatima.
Certainly,
Go
ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, we can certainly explore, you know, as we work through our virtual programming, whether or not we could do, in addition to the regional conference in the General Assembly, maybe a direct exchange between some of the Latin American partners and the South Asian partners with translation. I mean, there are folks on the phone that could, on the call, that could certainly help with that. So we could try to arrange that. Maybe that's something we can talk about as a leadership team going forward, what would make the most sense for both those on the call and our partners who are not able to join us right now. I think that's a wonderful idea, Fatima, and certainly been a dream for a long time to be able to share, even with the division, you know, the differences in language. And we always were doing that in the room. Now we can do that virtually, which is one of the positive learnings, if you will, of the past year and a half.
Yeah, we can also try gather in one place, some of us here, and then have an exchange on some days. So let's see. So that simultaneous translations can going on and things like that. Could have an in-country residential program, but residential stay would communicate across the globe. So.
That actually goes nice, Mahesh, with the comment you had posted in the chat where you said personal presence across IPM all over the world is what makes a big difference. And it's true. You know, our connection and our communication and our support of each other, encouragement, it just continues to offer hope and really makes a huge difference. I know we're running just a little behind now. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything before we formally conclude. I know that next week we're finalizing our presenter, so we'll share that on Facebook as soon as possible. But we're thrilled to announce that on the 29th of this month, we'll be having our co-chair of our International Executive Board, Xenia Chavez, who is the founder of Saprosi in Nicaragua, present to us, sharing her reflection about children's health, in particular with this month's observation of National World Health Day. She'll be sharing efforts in that capacity. So thank you again for your time and joining us today. I don't know, Joe, if you want to conclude with any closing comments.
No, I just would like to thank everybody again for being with us, and particularly our South Asian colleagues and partners for your incredible work during the past 20 months that I know has been an inspiration for me personally and so many of the donors and friends and other colleagues of yours here in the States and around the world. So thank you everyone for being with us today. Thank you again to all of those who worked on today's presentation, and Mahesh and Elsa for helping me moderate this. And we'll look forward to being with you again next week. And may the peace that passes all understanding be with you all this weekend. Take good care and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.